I cannot tell you how wonderful it is to see all of you in church. Anyone who's watching our video this morning on Facebook Live is probably saying, it's like Easter at St. James. At least, Deborah, that's what your mother's saying this morning. It is great to see all of you, and I hope you know that you're always welcome here at St. James, and even your four-footed friends are always welcome here. Thank you. The reading that Barbara proclaimed for us this morning from the book of Job, I think is just absolutely wonderful. But ask the animals, Job says, and they will teach you. Ask the birds of the air, and they will tell you. Just the other day, I was walking around with Max, who is in the back with Lorraine. He's right here. Oh, he's right there. Happy. Of course, the priest dog is in the front row. As I was walking with Max, I ran into several people with dogs, and they were just remarking how beautiful their animals were, and how loving they were, and how excited they were. Most of them were running around in our garden. And one of the guys, I think it actually was Pete, who's in the back with Chan, he said to me, well, you know, that dog is God spelled backwards. Lots of us believe in reincarnation. Some of us believe that we come back as dogs. I don't know how true that is, but those creatures, all creatures, are so wonderful. And they really do teach us lessons about our life. Many years ago, I sang with a chorus in New York City, and my good friend Thomas was the sign language interpreter for the chorus. And in preparation for our holiday concert, Thomas asked me to help him translate one of the songs that we were going to sing, and it was a carol called O Magnum Mysterium. And although I had sung this carol with the chorus many times, I wasn't, until I sat down with Thomas to do the translation, that I understood its meaning. Roughly translated, the carol talks about the great mystery, that's right there in the title, Magnum Mysterium, oh great, oh powerful, oh wonderful, oh powerful, wonderful mystery. Yes, and it's all about the mystery that took place at the birth of the Christ child. That the animals, that the sheep, the cows, the oxen, they were actually the first ones to really recognize that this child, born in the stable with them, was God. Now, I suppose that makes clear sense, doesn't it? I mean, there's something very mysterious about our animals. They seem to know things, don't they? They seem to know who they can approach and who they shouldn't approach. They actually know when we're not feeling well. They actually know if someone is uncomfortable with them. Or they know when we're excited, or even when we're anxious. They seem to pick up our feelings and our emotions. But the author of O Magnum Mysterium tells us that not only can they pick up our feelings and emotions, they can actually see what appears as a mystery. They can see what appears as a mystery. Now, I'm not sure that this is going to happen today. Maybe Max will kind of lead the way here, but I'm not sure about that. But in my first parish, before I was ordained as a priest, I was the deacon of the parish. And on the first day that St. Francis feast, the church was filled with all sorts of animals, almost like today. And during the elevation in the Eucharistic prayer, when the priest was holding up the host, there was a dog that was sitting in the aisle, and Wendy, it was actually the warden's dog, and was sitting in the aisle. And when the priest lifted up the host, the dog did this. So now, of course, the priest and I are looking and saying, that was really weird. And the priest turned to me in a quiet way and said, did you see that? I'm like, oh my God, yeah. And then said the words over the wine, and when he lifted the chalice, the dog did the same thing. Brought his paws together and bowed his head. Wow. Wow. That is quite amazing, isn't it? Those things happen. They know what is sacred. And it was an awesome moment to realize that our pets have the ability to see and to identify the mystery of the incarnate God. But, I knew that already, or at least I thought I did. One of the parishioners who used to take care of one of my dogs many years ago, his name was Otis. And Otis would go to their house when I needed to be somewhere else. And she said to me, every time one of the kids is sick, one of the kids is not going to school that day, Otis, first thing in the morning, would go into their bed and would just lay there all day long and not move. It was all about making sure that this child who was sick was being taken care of. And if they needed anything, Otis probably would have went downstairs and got the mom. We see stories like that, don't we? Especially soldiers who have had dogs. And we see that the dogs sometimes go to their grave and lay on the gravestone. No one instructs them to do that. They just happen to be in the cemetery, and they just know that that's where their person who they adored is lying in state. So today, we've come together to honor the very presence of God in our pets, in creation, and in each other. If there's anything that this feast of St. Francis is calling us to, it would be to see with different eyes, to identify the sacred presence of God, not only in each other, but in our pets, in all of creation. Thomas A. Kempis, in his book, The Imitation of Christ, says, "If we are pure and holy within, all of creation will become for us a book of knowledge and of goodness." A book of knowledge and of the goodness of God. St. Francis had a deep love and respect for all of creation, which he learned to read as if it were a holy book written by God, which it was. He saw creation as art, and he named God as the divine artist. Ralph Mancelli, a recent bibliographer of the life of St. Francis, chose a beautiful metaphor to express his capacity to receive and to transform the energy of God's love. He says, "Francis is like sparkling diamonds, which from each of their facets gives off splinters that seem to differ according to the way they are struck by the light." It would be sad, I think, to actually look at Francis and just say, "Oh, how lovely St. Francis was," instead of seeing that one of the major healings that is needed in this planet is our fragile island home. What needs healing most urgently is our relationship to creation. Throughout the Christian denominations, we have been celebrating, up until today, the season of creation. It is all about looking out with different eyes and seeing how God is present. I have to tell you that sometimes when I'm sitting on the porch of the rectory and I'm looking out to the garden, there is no question about the prayer that is created in that space. I've seen many people who have come through our garden area, maybe to visit their family who were in our columbarium. But so many people come there, and what they say is there is an incredible feeling here. Now, I want to say that it's just not because loved ones are in our columbarium. I want to say it's in all of creation that we see. And for us who have dogs, it is for us who walk our dogs throughout that wonderful garden. We, as Anglicans and as Episcopalians, have embraced the notion of creation theology. We call out in our poetry that even the pebbles of sand on the beach Sing out the praises of the Lord, even the pebbles of the sand. Just think about that every time you go to the beach. And we go to the beach because we live on the beach. Just think about that. Think about how they sparkle and how they glorify God and how they connect us to creation and most especially to God. In some ways, Episcopalians have struggled more and have contributed more to incarnational theology and creation theology, more than any other denomination. And we have tried to see the social and the political implications of these theologies, not just the personal and interpersonal applications. Today, we honor the saint, the great saint of creation, the lover of all creatures. And we are given today a glimpse of how life is meant to be. So hear me when I say that the world is pretty awful right now. Just turn on your TVs. The world is pretty awful right now. And if Francis were here among us, well, Francis was very unique, and he actually went out into the center of town, and he renounced all of that. He renounced all the politicians. He even renounced all of the leaders of the church, just so that he could live in peace with the God who loved and cared for him. When you and I are frustrated, when you and I are feeling anxious, when you and I are feeling angry at what's happening in the world that we might not have control of, we need to change our energy. And we need to look into creation. And we need to see that God's work is our power in the here and in the now. And if God can do all of this incredible stuff, just think what God can do if we just let go and live into the love of God. We are given a glimpse today of what life is meant to be, with all God's creation, not just surviving in this world, but also living interdependently and harmoniously together. That's what creation is calling us to do, to live harmoniously together. May we be that example for the world that the world so desperately needs. May we be the people who see each other as gift, to see our animals as this blessing of God on us and our lives and the world we live in. You know, it is a challenge to change our vision. It really is. We like to see things the way they always were. I'm so guilty of that. I thought when I got older that I would just stop thinking like that, but that doesn't happen, trust me. I thought when I got older I would just say, oh well, I've been here before, I've seen it all. No, actually, life is calling us to really respond, and to respond well. May God give us the strength, may God give us the courage, and may God open up our eyes to see in a new way. Amen.
Amen.